And we're back with the candidates for District 132 at the City Hall in Old Orchard Beach. And this is the political forum that is being hosted by the Saco Bay Dems. And before we start asking questions, I'd like to ask each of the candidates to introduce themselves, starting with Pierre.
My name is Pierre Bouthiller. I'm a resident of Old Orchard Beach, and I live at number 4 Patriot Way here in town for about 5 years.
Okay. My name is Cris Johnson, and I guess we're all from Old Orchard Beach. I live at 8 Walden Avenue, and that beach has been a part of my life for all of my life.
Hi, my name is Roxanne Frenette. I live at 102 Ross Road, and I am a fourth generation Old Orchard Beach resident.
Good morning. My name is Greg Kidd. I live at 1 Rosedale Avenue. My wife and I moved to Old Orchard in 1984, and we raised our daughter in town, and she graduated from Old Orchard Beach High School.
All right, thank you. And Pierre, we'll start with you. If you'd make your opening remarks and tell us whatever you'd like to do, whatever you'd like to say about yourself, and take about 3 minutes.
Well, I generally go with ladies first, but in this particular case, since it's going to go from this end to the other, Roxanne, would you like to start, or?
No, that's
okay,
fine.
that's fine. In any event, again, my name is Pierre Bouthiller. I am a public servant. That is my life more than anything else, and I have decided reluctantly that I would accept the challenge of working towards representing my community in a more effective forum, specifically at the State House. In surveying the candidates and what the potential opposition will be from the other side, initially I felt that there was a good representation. These folks here are all passionate about their community and service to their community, and certainly George Hogan's seat is and shoes are a significant set of shoes to fill. Not an easy task. It's going to take tenacity, it's going to take the right temperament, it's going to take the availability of time and resources and energy. I believe that I have those assets available, and that I will be able to serve as I have been serving the community and the common good here in Old Orchard Beach, as well as the state broadly, in the representation that I can bring to the State House.
All right, thank you. Cris?
Hi. Thank you, Roy. I want to also thank both the Saco Bay Dems and the Old Orchard Dems for making this forum available. I think it's rather remarkable that in such a small arena we have so many talented people who are ready to step up and to do their part to make something happen in November that critically needs to happen. There are 4 people before you representing the Democratic voice in Old Orchard Beach. I'm very pleased to be one of them. But I also want to say that the level of talent and dedication that's sitting here with me today is unquestioned. The only difference that any of us can make is to go to Augusta in November, actually in January, but I'm there all the time, so it seems like I should be there today. To go to Augusta and to bring to the legislative process both the passion that we all share and also skill sets, experience, education, and an ability to articulate the kinds of things that need to be articulated. In Augusta, Democrats need to take back the House. I believe that they will, and I believe one of us will be there. I hope it's me.
Thank you, Cris. Roxanne, your opening remarks, please.
Thank you. I am in a very fortunate position where I can pursue my dream of representing all the citizens of Old Orchard Beach, a dream I've had for some time. The timing is right for me. I have just reached 30 years of employment with the Maine Turnpike, and I want to give back to my community, and I am devoting my time to bringing our fair share of resources to Old Orchard Beach and Ocean Park. I have a vested interest in making sure that our community and our state of Maine remains an economically viable place to live for retirees, as my parents are, raising a family, as my husband and I have, and our son is currently, and where our daughter will hopefully remain after graduating from college. I am the grandmother of the fifth generation Old Orchard Beach resident. My grandparents, both sets of my grandparents raised their families here, and the tradition lives on in me. I am troubled by the endless failures of partisan politics, and I know I'm not alone. There are over 6,000 registered voters in Old Orchard Beach. 2,400 of them are Democrats, 1,300 of them are Republicans, and 2,165 are independents. There's also a Green Party with 138. I didn't want to skip them. The independent number speaks volumes. It's time for Democrats and Republicans to work together, to put aside their differences and look for common ground, to better serve all citizens they represent. There has been no progress made for some time following party lines, and it's time for a new path.
Okay, thank you, Roxanne.
You're welcome.
Greg, your opening remarks.
Good morning. I'll give you a little of my background. For the last 25 years, I've worked in the water and wastewater industry, sanitation industry. We're #1 in protecting public health. I've started out in the field as an assistant chemist, and currently involved in environmental training, providing continuing ed and certification prep classes throughout the state of Maine, actually throughout New England. I have a pretty good sense of working with people. I serve on the Board of Licensure for Water Operators. I've been assigned to that for my 3rd term. I know firsthand the value of public education and access to quality education, because I've met people who fall through the cracks, and now they have to get certified and licensed for their jobs. This is a challenge I think we need to address and face. I really don't like the tone that's happening right now. We're in Augusta. We seem to be cutting this and that with no plan on what we're going to do to replace it. We're throwing people off education. We're taking money from public education, putting it in other places. It doesn't make sense to me. And I really think that somebody should step up and join the bully in the sandbox to stop them from continuing to put Maine on the road to ruin. That's why I'm running.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Would you say, Pierre, would you say that our state government is efficient or inefficient? And why or why not?
I think it's clearly inefficient at this point, and the reason is not for lack of the work ethic by the rank and file workers, mid-management, et cetera, as has been alluded to recently in the press by the chief executive of the state. I think that it's more for lack of leadership. There is a divisionism that is pervasive throughout the state and throughout the nation, and it's not just debilitating at the local level, but it's also completely disabled our ability to find common ground that serves the common good. In my view, and in the view of the broader Democratic Party per se, the values that we bring are to serve the common good, that our decision-making processes, that our programs, that in our basic philosophy are set up in a way and are established in a way that brings the broadest participation from the broadest number of citizens. Government was created, in my view, in order to level the playing field between the common man and big business and big finance. We have seen the pendulum swing far to the right presently, so that representational government is no longer of the people, for the people, by the people. It is clearly bought and paid for in a wholesale fashion, and as a result, we have a government that is serving the special interests of a very small segment of society. That in and of itself, the imbalance is what creates inefficiency. The system is not moving and operating properly because of that particular issue.
Okay. Thank you, Pierre. Roxanne, would you say our state government is efficient or inefficient, and why or why not?
I believe it's inefficient, and I believe it's, right now, not just our state, but our federal, and it's because of partisan politics. And we each have a label for one another, and it's not effective, and people, politicians in general need to realize that we're getting nowhere and that we need to start working together and stop labeling one another and look for common ground. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chris, what is your opinion? Would you say our state government is efficient or inefficient? Why or why not?
Roy, efficiency is kind of a funny word. Yeah. In many ways, it's remarkably efficient. Maine has historically had a proud tradition of efficiency in moving both its social structures and its people forward. We always wanted it to be, and I think it was and can be again, the way life should be. But the efficiency that I see today, and for the last probably 2 years, since 2010, has been the efficiency of doing nothing, the efficiency of block and parry, not the efficiency of working together to move the proud traditions we've always enjoyed and been proud of here in Maine, but rather to block and to set as priorities agendas which I think have very little to do with what most Mainers want to see for their future.
All right, thank you, Chris. Greg, what would you say about the inefficiency or efficiency of our state government?
My dealings with, especially on the environmental end of things and the others, I'm going to agree with Chris and go against the grain and what's perceived as, I think they're very efficient. I think they're very efficient. It takes a while to get rules through, changes through, but maybe that's the way it should be, because we just want to make sure we take the right path. On the board of licensure for water operators, it took us a few years to be able to change our rules and to do computer-based exams, on-demand exams for our water treatment operators. Yes, it got a little frustrating. To me, it seemed a simple thing, change our rules, but we took into account other people's opinions. We worked with groups and committees. DHHS, which is in everybody's crosshair now, did a fantastic job working with us, getting the information to our board, and we passed it, and it's in place now. And would have I liked it a little sooner? Yes, but we worked with other people, and I think we got a better program because of it.
All right. Greg, how do you determine the efficiency or inefficiency of state government?
Great question. That came up at an American Association Board of Certification meeting that I went to in Tampa this winter. They asked us, how did I know our board was efficient? We don't have the metrics to measure that. It's kind of hard to say, isn't it, without the metrics. But what I will say is the change and the feedback we get from our clients, which are the water operators in the state of Maine, which are the first line of defense in protecting public health. We tend to forget about that because we take clean water for granted. The feedbacks we get are very positive. They like what we do, how fast we are, how we react to their questions, comments. So I don't think we have metrics to really measure that. Government is not a business, should not be a business per se. We hear all that the time. We have a different role in government than making the biggest profit and getting rid of customers that we don't like. So the metrics are difficult to measure. All I can base it on is my experience in both the water and wastewater side is the feedback and how fast the DEP can turn around permits and work with our groups. So
Chris, do you believe what Greg said, that efficiency is difficult to measure in the state government?
We're back to that word, aren't we? Yes. I don't think efficiency is difficult to measure. I think knowing what it means to be efficient is something that gets ambiguous. And so to clarify it, I spent a lot of years in education as a teacher. I was a part of the National Humanities faculty and wrote curriculum and guidelines for education across the country. One of the things that I took from that experience is that it isn't as simple as putting a test with multiple guess questions in front of students to measure the efficiency with which you teach. One of the ways you do that, and it's hard because it has to be done after the fact, is to take a look at the results of what you've done. When I look at efficiency in Maine government over the last couple of years, what I see is an erosion of exactly the things the legislature is supposed to present and maintain for the state, and a disintegration of the very heart, education, workers' rights, family rights, medical rights, women's rights, civil rights, that I hold absolutely critical to the efficient running of government. That's how I measure it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Could I just interject here? I think we're talking about two terms of efficiency. I'm talking not about the political process. I'm talking about the state employees, the government there. I'm not talking about the political process. And is that what you're referencing, Chris?
Well, each of you answer whatever questions I'm asking in your own way. Roxanne?
How do you determine the efficiency?
Correct.
I would believe that it would be health care, it would be employment, it would be taxes, and all of which we are failing right now. So I would determine it to be inefficient at this point.
It would be inefficient at this point? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Pierre, how do you feel?
Measuring efficiency, as everybody tends to agree, is a very tedious process, and there are so many variables. But one of the things that we're lacking is identifying what our goals and objectives are. Philosophically, the Democratic Party has a set of goals and objectives that are balance-based, is what I guess the best way to characterize them. People want to have a quality of life that is consistent with a standard of living that they've been accustomed to, or they want to have a goal to be able to have employment that is sustainable. They have a goal and an objective that gives them a dream that they can actually work towards. In the case of Mainers presently, that dream, and in the case of Americans across the board, the dream is fading. If we cannot educate our children, if we cannot afford the day-to-day activities that we historically have been accustomed to, you know, the learned legislators that came to the forum before us talked to some degree about, for example, the fall off in taxation and demand for fuel, that the fuel tax was lacking, and so roads were starting to decay. We have a lack of understanding here in Maine and across the board in the nation that reinvestment is what creates efficiency. If we identify our goals and objectives, and then we see what those effects are over time, if they fall in line with our basic philosophies, then we have an efficient society. Presently, that is not the case, sadly, for lack of investment.
Okay, thank you, Pierre.